रकौ वन्दे रूप सनातनं रघुवीर। सुदे सुरे सुतराज्य लक्ष्मी धर्मीश्च आर्जवदस जदगाद रन्ना जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। Radha सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much. कीर्तन गान रतन परम वीर वीर जन प्रिय प्रिय करो निर्माण पूजितम श्री चैतन्य कृपा भरौ चैतन्य कृपा भरौ भुवि भुव मारव अंतरकौ वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगौ श्रीजी
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandava Pranam.
All glories to Great Allah, glories to Shri Prabhupada.
All glories to Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, so since you're here, then I think we can put the verse on the screen and then we start.
Yeah, but check my audio. Is it audible enough?
Very clear, yes.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All right, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Agyantimirandakshya Janang Salakaya Chakshuro Miritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Radhanath Swami Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve. Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvisesa Sunyavadi. Pachatya Ideshatarine. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam. Stapitam Yena Bhutale. Swayam Rupa Kadamayam. Dadati Swa Padantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru. Sri Yuta Padakamalam. Sri Guru Vaishnavansya. Sri Rupam Sagrajatan. Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam. Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhambitam Sya Te Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namasute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpata Rubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyaye Vacha Patitanam Pavanambayo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadada, Shiva Shadisi Gora Bhakta Vindam, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'd like to formally welcome everyone present on the platform now and appreciate the presence of our senior Vaishnavas, gurus, and mentors, and also appreciate everybody present here and beg for your individual and collective blessings that I may be able to say something that will be for my purification and for the benefit of everybody present. You are welcome. Hare Krishna. The chapter we are reading today is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 11, Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwarka. Text number 34. And it's a little bit of digression from the sequence we have been following. The link between the previous chapter, which is Krishna's departing Hastinapur, it was also formed fair and sent forth. The beginning of the 11th chapter is reception, welcoming Krishna into Dwarka. So that's how they are connected. You know, when you start a journey, you must have a destination of arrival. They call it a point of embarkation and point of disembarkation. So Krishna has disembarked in Dwarka and a lot of festive mood. The festivity is just ended. Now there's another phase, and this phase is very, very informative, and you don't have to go through it diligently and benefit from it. So text number 34 of chapter 11 is what we'll be reading. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narautamam Devin Saraswatim Vyasa Chatudaya Mudirayet Nasta Preyaswa Bradesu Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamas Loke Bhakti Bhavati Nastikihi. Text 34. Evan Nipanam Siti Parajamanam Akso hinibi parivraitati jasam. Vidaya vairam swasano yatanalam. Mito vadeno parato nirayudam. Evam ripanam sitibara jamanam. Aksho hinibi parivritate jasam. Vidaya vairyam vasana swasana yatanalam. Nito vadeno parato nirayuda. Evam nipanam sitibara janmanam. Aksho hinebi parivritate jasam. Vidaya vairyam swasana yatanalam. Mito vadeno parato nirayuda. Word for word transliteration. Evam, thus, Nripanam of the kings or administrator. Siti Bara, the burden of the earth. Jammanam, born in that way. Actual he Nibi, empowered by a military strength of horses, elephants, chariots, and infantry. Parivrita, been puffed up by such surroundings. Tejasam, prowess. Vidaya, having created. Vairyam, hostility. Swasana, interaction of the wind and the pipe plants. Yata, as it is. An alarm, fire. Mitam, with one another. Vadena, by killing them. Uparata, relieved. Nirayuda, by himself without being a party to such fighting. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Jaga Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Lord was pacified after killing those kings who were burdensome to the earth. They were puffed up with their military strength, their horses, elephants, chariots, infantry, etc. He himself was not a party in the fight. He simply created hostility between the powerful administrators, and they fought among themselves. It was like the wind, which causes friction between bamboos, and so sparks a fire. Purport by Jagaguru Srila Prabhupada. As stated above, the living beings are not factual enjoyers of things which are manifested as God's creation. The Lord is the genuine proprietor and enjoyer of everything manifests in His creation. Unfortunately, influenced by the deluding energy, the living beings become a false enjoyer. Under the dictation of the modes of nature, puffed up by such a false sense of becoming God, the deluded living being increase its material strength by so many activities and thus becomes the burden of the earth. So much so that the earth becomes completely uninhabitable by the same. This state of affairs is called Damasya Glani, or misuse of the energy of the human being. When such misuse of human energy is prominent, the saner living beings become perturbed by the awkward situation created by the vicious administrators, who are simply burdens of the earth. And the Lord appears by His internal potency, just to save the sinner section of humanity and to alleviate the burden due to the earthly administrators in different parts of the world. He does not favor either of the unwanted administrators, but by his potential power, he creates hostility between such unwanted administrators as the air creates fire in the forest by the friction of the bamboo. The fire in the forest takes place automatically by the forces or the force of the air. And similarly, the hostility between different groups of politicians take place by the unseen design of the Lord. The unwanted administrators, puffed up by force, power, and military strength, thus become engaged in fighting amongst themselves over ideological conflicts, or so exhaust themselves of all powers. The history of the world reflects this factual will of the Lord, and it will continue to be enacted until the living beings are attached to the service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad-Gita 7:14, this fact is vividly described. It is said, the leading energy is my potency, and thus it is not possible for the dependent living beings to supersede the strength of the material modes. For those who take shelter in me, the personality of God as Sri Krishna, can cross over the gigantic ocean of material energy. This means that no one can establish peace and prosperity in the world by fruitive activities or by speculative philosophy of ideology. The only way is to surrender unto the Supreme Lord and thus become free from the illusion of the leading energy. Unfortunately, persons who engage in the destructive work are unable to surrender to the personality of Godhead. They are all fools of the first order. They are the lowest of human species of life. They are robbed of their knowledge, although apparently they seem to be academically educated. They are all of the demoniac mentality, always challenging the supreme power of the Lord. Those who are very materialistic always hanker after material powers and strength are undoubtedly fools of the first order because they have no information of the living energy, and being ignorant of the supreme spiritual science, they are absorbed in material science, which ends with the end of the material body. They are the lowest of human beings because the human life is essentially meant for re-establishing lost relationship with the Lord. And they miss this opportunity by being engaged in material activities. They are robbed of their knowledge because even after prolonged speculation, they cannot reach to the stage of knowing the personality of Godhead, the summum bonum of everything, and all of them are men of demoniac principles, and they suffer the consequences as these such materialistic heroes as Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, and others. Bukan paroti batalam, Pangam langa ya tegirim, ya kripatwa mahamvande, Siguru inatarina, ya kripatwa mahamvande, Paramananda Madhava, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwara. So, the text we are dealing with gives us ample information about certain specifics from the text and from the purport. And these specifics identify enjoyer, the enjoyed, false enjoyer, surrender, and those who don't surrender. These are the 5 overheads that you can pick up from Prabhupada's purport to this text. Enjoyer, the enjoyed, false enjoyer, surrender, and those who don't surrender. And what is the aftermath of such disposition? So to open the purport, let me read the translation once again so we can find these points that have been enumerated. The Lord was pacified after killing those kings who were burdensome to the earth. They were puffed up with their military strength, their horses, elephants, chariots, infantry, etc. He himself was not a part in the fight. He simply created hostility between the powerful administrators, and they fought among themselves. He was like the wind which causes friction between bamboos and so sparks a fire. So this is the translation. Then in the purport, Prabhupada opens up. He opens the purport by making reference to the purport of the previous text. It says, as stated above. Above means either the translation or the preceding text. And in the purport of the preceding text, Prabhupada mentioned, the living beings are by constitution feminine by nature. That is second to the last paragraph. The male or enjoyer is the Lord. And all manifestation of his different potencies are feminine by nature. So we can see that establishes the position of the Lord. And then Prabhupada also made reference of this same text in Bhagavad-Gita Chapter 5, text 29. He buttressed the fact when he made referral as Krishna being the enjoyer. 529, Bhuktaram Yagyatapa Sam Savaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sava Bhutanam Dhatwamam Shantiri Chati. That a person in full Krishna consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. So this established further Krishna as the supreme enjoyer. And then in the Sri Isopanishad, Mantra 1 also affirms, Isavasyamidam savam, Yakin cha jagatyam jagat, Tena tyaktuna bunjitam, magridam kasya swidanam. Everything, animate or inanimate, that is within the universe is controlled and owned. You cannot enjoy what you don't own and what you don't control. So Krishna owns and controls everything, animate or inanimate, that is within the universe. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which has been set aside as his own quota. And one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So from these 2 points, we have been able to establish Krishna from Prabhupada's purport, from Bhagavad-Gita 529, and from Mantra 1 of Sri Isopanishad. And we also have been able to lay claim to the fact that the enjoyed are the living entity. Nobody is exempted from being enjoyed by Krishna. Everybody is enjoyed. And so we made reference to Prabhupada's purport to the preceding text, that is the last text, come to the last purport, where Prabhupada emphasized that the living beings are by constitution feminine by nature. Eka Kaleshwara Krishna. There's only one supreme controller and enjoyer. The remaining people are the enjoyed or controlled. So that takes us to the next segment of the Prabhupada's purport, where it says, unfortunately, influenced by the deluding energy, the living being becomes a false enjoyer. So we have dealt with enjoyer, enjoyed, now false enjoyer. Prabhupada mentioned this also in the purport. Unfortunately, influenced by the deluding energy, the living being becomes false enjoyer under the dictation of the material nature. And that is buttressed in chapter 3 of Bhagavad-Gita, text number 27, where it says, Prakriti Kriya Manani Guna Kamani Savasaha. Ahankara vimudatma kataham iti manyate. 3:27. The spirit soul bewildered by the influence of false ego thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by three modes of material nature. So Prabhupada corroborates that, and he goes further to say that the putting up puffed up by such false sense of becoming God. It goes to the extent of wanting to assume the position of God. The deluded living being increase his material strength by so many activities and thus become burden of the earth. So false enjoyers, part of what they achieve, other than exhibition of their schemes and their prowess, they constitute burden to the earth. And ultimately, these people who are burdens to the earth, because they want to play God, they don't surrender to God. All of this were mentioned in the purport. So much so that the earth becomes completely uninhabitable by the same. The same are the suras. The same are those who are devotees. And this state of affairs called Damasya Glani. Glani Bhavati Bharata, Vyuttamana Damasyam, Tadatmanam Sinyamyaham. So Krishna said, Yada Yada Hi Damasya Glani Bhavati Bharata. Glani Damasya is explained as misuse of the energy of the human being. In the Bhagavad-Gita Chapter 3, text number 9, purport, it mentions the whole purpose for which the material facility was created. Why was the material facility given in the first place? In the purport, Prabhupada mentioned that the material creation of the Lord is a facility given to the living entities to be able to exercise their desire to control or lord it over material nature, and at the same time achieve salvation. So it is like a combo packaging. Why we got material body is desire to lord it over material nature. And one of the purport of Prabhupada's explanation of the Mahamantra, I said the conditioned living entity, they are trying to lord it over material nature, but they are becoming more and more entangled in our complexities. Okay? But the original design for the facility is for us to fulfill this desire, the material creation of the Lord, that is purport, beginning of purport of text 10, chapter 3, text 10. The material creation of the Lord, Vishnu, is a chance offered to the conditioned soul to come back home, back to Godhead. All living entities with material creation are conditioned by material nature because of their forgetfulness of their relation with Vishnu, Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that Glani, Damasya Glani, which is misuse of the human energy, compared to what we just read, why the facility was given, if we don't use the human energy for this facility, then we abuse it. And when we abuse it, when such misuse of human energy is prominent, the saner living beings become perturbed. Okay? In the Rupa Goswami mentioned that those who act in aberration of the scriptures, they only constitute boderation. It's a Shruti, Smriti, Purana, Pancharatrika Vidhi Vinam. I hide to come, Utama Bhakti, Utpatayaiva Chakalpete, Utpatayaiva, they become disturbance. Already living entities are disturbed by different factors, Adhyatmika Klesha, Adhibhotika Klesha, Adhidevika Klesha. So when we again act contrary to scriptural injunctions, we are only creating unnecessary boderation to the living entity. That is what it means. So the sinner side become perturbed by the awkward situation created by the vicious administrator who are simply burdens of the earth. And this is what induces Krishna when he said, Yada Yada Hidamasya in Bhagavad-Gita Chapter 4, text 7. And he corroborates by saying in text 8, Paritranaya sadunam vinasaya chatuskritam dhamma samstapanataya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants and to establish the principle of religion, I myself advent millennium after millennium. So he says here, the Lord appears by his internal potency just to save the sinner. That's the text 8 of that chapter 4. To save the sinner of humanity and to alleviate the burden due to the earthly administrators in different parts of the world. So we can see how this advent of Krishna became effected. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 1, the advent of the Lord, which is introduction to the Krishna book, it says that once upon a time,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sri Ganga, it appears when you turn towards your right, you move away from your microphone and makes your speech quite inaudible.
okay, so I will check that.
Okay,
So in that text 17, he said once when Mother Earth was burdened by the hundreds of thousands of military phalanxes of various conceited demons dressed like kings, she approached Lord Brahma for relief. She approached Lord Brahma for relief. So this is the genesis of how ultimately Krishna came to fulfill a promise that she made. When Bhumi went to Lord Brahma, accompanied with other demigods, they went to consult in the ocean of milk to lay this complaint about the state of affair of the whole universe. So the Lord agreed to come. A lot of issues transpired. They did their worship, they did everything, but they did not get immediate response. But the Lord was speaking, only they were not hearing. But Lord Brahma, because of his special empowerment and relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he could get the message. Okay? And the purport to that, the purport was saying that in modern times, we are given gadgets so that we can communicate to other people. We can reach anybody, either through WhatsApp, Facebook, calls, and we can express whatever we want to the other party. But then he says that such communication was not there in that time of Lord Brahma. Rather, there was heart-to-heart exchange. Lord Brahma was able to decode the message of God that was hovering. The message was there, but not everybody could tune to that frequency. And so ultimately, there was a truce or a promise that he would come. Now, from what we are reading, Krishna has come, and the battlefield of Kurukshetra just ended, and now Krishna is back to base. Krishna is back to base. And after all the reception and everything, this purport came. He said the Lord was pacified. Means part of it is the Lord took time to reflect. Just like Yudhishthira was asked by the Yaksha. He said, what is the most amazing thing in life? Yudhishthira replied that the most amazing thing in life that all around us, people are dying, but we never stop to think, stop to reflect. This stop to reflect is what Krishna is doing now. All the fanfares are over. He has met everybody that is required to be met, but now he's reflecting. And this is a very big lesson that we should all learn, especially in course of our doing devotional study. We must always reflect. We must be self-introspective and then be able to assess. Even in government situation, in administration, policies are formulated with the view that it will be implemented, but in the end, It has to be evaluated. So if you don't stop to check, you will not be able to make improvements. So Krishna did this evaluation and it was pacified. And the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 2, canto 2, chapter 8, text 6, it gives the analogy of a traveler who is satisfied at home after a troublesome journey. A traveler who is satisfied at home after a troublesome journey. So you can see Lord Krishna was pacified. He's home now. All the halubalu and rancor is over. And he's introspective. Wow, good. They have been killed. So I fulfill my promise to Brahma and Bhumi. And so we have to face the next settings. So in explaining that analogy, it gives discovery. A pure devotee of the Lord whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service never relinquishes the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him as the traveler is satisfied at home after a troublesome journey. This is the gain of part of what we were reading yesterday, that the lotus feet of Krishna was newer and newer to the points, okay? And so we move ahead to see that those who are burdens of the earth, they don't surrender to Krishna. It's also there in the purport. Papa mentions that he does not favor any of these administrators, doesn't spare them, but rather he himself does not directly involve in the situation that makes for rectification. He does not directly involve, but he creates the same. And we can see the same thing happen in Dwarka when Krishna wanted to send all the demigods that had come to participate in his pastime back. He only created the situation. And you can see the sequence. First, the sons of Krishna went to make a foul play with Brahmanas, including Narada, and then they cursed them. They presented Samba, a male, inflated him with some clothing inside, stuffed him, and then said, well, what will this child deliver? It's all Krishna's arrangement. And then he said, curse them. He said, whatever this person will deliver will be the cause of the destruction of your dynasty. So at the pronouncement of that cause, he ran to the king of KRSNA, see what has happened. KRSNA said, just grind into powder and pour in the sea. He grind into powder, all could not be granted, one lump was still left, but they took everything they poured in the sea, and the sharp metal straws grew in the water, in Prabhasa. Okay, this is already preset by Krishna. And then when Krishna found the right time, he told them they should go to Prabhasa. Those who went to Prabhasa were demigods who were supposed to go back to their seat of authority, not those who are the eternal associates of Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan and Vaikuntha. So they went there, and then they took the beverage of rice, became so intoxicated, and they started fighting against themselves. The stronger against the weak like this, they wipe themselves. So this buttresses the fact that Krishna necessarily does not have to involve, but he can create the same. And Prabhupada gave the analogy here. He said, just like in the forest fire, the air makes the bamboos to rub themselves. Air, wind. We just make bamboo to be rubbing, and then fire will generate from the friction of the bamboo, and then the fire will drop on the dry leaves at the base of the bamboo. See, this is how forest fire comes. So that is what Krishna does. The fire in the forest takes place automatically by the force of air. And similarly, the hostility between the different groups of politicians takes place by the unseen design of the Lord. It's unseen, but it is there. But those who are knowers of truth, they could see that this is what is actually going on. So by that way, the politicians, they take on themselves by design of the Lord, and they get wiped out also. So he said this is there in the history of the world. But what is the import of this to all of us? The modern day world is filled with people like this who have taken things or laws into their hands or taken situations into their hands, thinking they can manipulate, they can do and undo. Look at how the kind of life and quality of life that people are living now. We are here now. I have stayed here through the first wave of the COVID. I know what I went through in the first wave. I actually practically, to be saved, was bundled in an ambulance from a Ayurvedic cancer hospital back to Mumbai. When I came to Mumbai, there is nowhere to go to. All the temples are closed, no residents. And I'm a foreigner. But then the hospital authority in Bhaktivedanta Hospital were able to facilitate to put me in one of the palliative care center. Palliative care center is where people come to die. So like come to the asylum and get killed. Only those who are ready to die come to the palliative care, and then they nurture them, process them until they leave their body. So while there, on a daily basis, I was seeing people die. There was one lady that Giridhari, my daughter, made friend with. You know, she helped her set her pillow, do all of this. And by the next day, she was already in body bag. And the poor girl could not sleep anymore. You know, so these were part of our first experience. Now the second wave came, and we also faced incarceration, lockdown, and all of this. As we speak now, it's like a warm-up to a third wave, a third lockdown. Life has become very difficult. You may not go to the mall. You cannot lodge in any place if you don't have certificate of the vaccine shots or a report of negative test. But this is caused by the leadership of the world. People who are ruling the world are the ones orchestrating this situation. And so my encouragement to everybody, especially those who are in the African continent or countries where the leadership are not representing the interests of the populace, you should take solace in this kind of that. Somehow, Krishna will heed to your plight, but you have a price to pay. The price to pay is take shelter of Krishna. Then Krishna will do his bidding, because he said, Paritanaya sadhunam, vinasaya chaduskritam, dhamma samstapanataya, sambhavami yugeni. To deliver the pious, to annihilate the miscreants. So inevitably, the miscreants will be annihilated. How it's going to happen, you may not know. When it's going to happen, we may not know. But Prabhupada said in the purport, when he was ethnic, he said the history of the world reflects this factual will of the Lord. And it will continue to be enacted until the living beings are attached to the service of the Lord, until everybody becomes the devotee of the Lord. So part of the problem in the world, like he said, there's nothing lacking in the world except for Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is what is missing. And so the Krishna consciousness movement was float as a machinery of God to salvage the situation. It's a machine of God. Krishna consciousness is a machine. It's like he said, time I am, kalos me. I come to destroy. Krishna consciousness is also come to destroy avidya, the ignorance of society. And that is why you find out that this time we are in, which is the Prabhupada Sankirtan Marathon, is a very, very perfect time to make ourselves instrument for achieving this. Because if you see in the preface of Prabhupada's purport, proper mention of this that Visago Janata Gaviplavo Yatmin Patislo Kamabada Vatiapi Namanyananta Yaswan Kitaniat Shivanti Gayan Tigrianti Sadavam. He said, on the other hand, that literature which is full of description of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, pastime, etc. of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a different creation, full of transcendental words, directed towards bringing a revolution in the impious life of this world's misdirected civilization. That is the point. So the book Sankirtan Marathon that we are doing in honor or for the pleasure of Prabhupada is actually targeted to achieving this, a revolution in the impious lives of this world misdirected civilization. So first we have to take advantage of it, then we can go ahead and give it to people. And the way Prabhupada said it, your 5 minutes preaching cannot do anything. Just give the book to them. The moment they touch the book, It's like electrocuting them. Whatever will happen after, you cannot decode it. Give them the books. Let them touch. If they touch the book, they're infested. If they read the book, they are influenced. If they practice the book, they are purified. So automatically, we owe it as duty to conceive concept ways through which we'll be able to achieve this. Yes, the marathon is like a time for clarion call, but it should be a continuous exercise, having known the objective for this and what it will achieve in the world. One, it will minimize the demoniac influence in the world. That is it. And it will increase the number of devotees in the world. And that will make everybody peaceful and happy. And then the world will become a place worthy for living. And we are not bereft of the knowledge of the fact that this beast of burden, like Prabhupada called them, the beast of burden on the earth, they have been there since time. And Prabhupada described them in the purport. Unfortunately, persons engaged in the destructive work are unable to surrender to the personality of God. So in Bhagavad-Gita Chapter 14 text, Chapter 7 text 14 and 15. Verse 14 says that Devi here saguna mai, mama maya durachaya, mami bayi property ante maya metantarachite. That this divine energy of mind, considered of three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. So in their bewilderment, they think they can manipulate things, they can overcome things, but they're under the stringent laws of material nature. And then Prabhupada gave an analogy in the second canto, chapter 8, text 21. He says the analogy of flying a boat in the middle of the ocean. Flying a boat in the middle of the ocean. That boat is what it says, Mame baye property ante Miami tantarantite. Mame baye property ante. But those who surrender unto me can cross over it easily. So in the analogy, the discovery is the living condition, the living in the condition life, just like flying a boat in the middle of the ocean. One is completely at the mercy of the ocean. And at every moment, there's every chance of being drowned in the ocean by slight agitation. If the atmosphere is all right, the boat can fly very easily, undoubtedly. But if there is some storm, fog, wind, or cloud, there's every possibility of being drowned in the ocean. No one can control the whim of the ocean. However, one may be materially equipped. No one has crossed the ocean by ship. One who has crossed the ocean by ship may have sufficient experience of self-dependence upon the mercy of the ocean. The devotees of the Lord, however, cross the ocean of material existence without anxiety, because a pure devotee is always protected by the Lord. And what is the application of this? One who is firmly situated in the devotional service of the Lord can very easily execute the functions of conditioned life. That's what Krishna is demanding there. And you can see also in Bhagavad-Gita Chapter 18, text 66, Krishna said, Sava Dhamma Parityaja Mame Kam Saranam Braj, Aham Tam Sava Papebyo, Moksha Mishayi, Masuja. Said, abandon all variety of religion, surrender unto me. Not only this is surrender, he says, I will protect you, I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. And he says it, do not fear. So for the devotee, it is an assurance of God. We have been promised, and that is why devotee is Abhaya-chara, is fearless, because he has the unction and promise of God. And if he does his own bidding, God will do his own bidding. So in our life, there are two circles. Circle of control and circle of no control. The circle of control is the area where we have our own dharma. When we abuse our dharma, it becomes dharmasya glani. We misuse our own power. But our own human energy is to be able to surrender to Krishna, involve in devotional service, and be able to benefit from the area from the circle of no control where we cannot help. Just like the analogy we do right now, dependence on Krishna. Krishna will make it easy for us. So Krishna's section is to take care. It is not our duty to take care. Ours is just to serve Krishna. So those are the two circles, circle of control, circle of no control. By exercising our circle of control, we endear ourselves to Krishna and we can control Krishna. Because Krishna promised those who worship him consistently without deviation, he said what they have, he will preserve. What they lack, he will bring to them. That is his promise. So it is not our business to start chasing after many things that we lack. We should use our time to do devotional service and also source the bare necessity of life. What is bare necessary? We'll go for it, but not over endeavor. Because that's what he said in the Upadishamrita, Tiara Prasascha, Prajapani Yamogara, Jana Sangha Chalodiansa, Sadi Bhakti Vinasati. It will destroy devotional service. And this is what most of us are not observing. Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, all the Goswamis, they had wealth, they abandoned wealth to do devotional service. But conversely, in our own case, we are dumping devotional service to go look for wealth. And look at the history of ISKCON. I don't have to mention name, but study the history of ISKCON. Those who have left the movement that they want to go and make money so they can help the movement, they never came back until today. So it is better we identify our circles and be able to live within our circle and leave Krishna's circle to Krishna. Krishna will do his own bit because he never fails. Just like he has done here. It's introspective. So these are the things that we should reflect on. We always stop to think about this. And that's why the pillow you sleep with is your best advisor. When you finish your day activity and you recline on your pillow, that is where you have reflections. That's where you have introspection. That is where you have projections. So your pillow is actually your best friend, your very close friend, and your best advisor. So we should always take time after the whole day's job to take inventory and be able to see where we need to dot our I's and cross T's. This is what Krishna did here. He said, the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, became pleased when he noticed that the Lord was pacified. How did he come to this? Because he's now at home after a troublesome journey. He's happy, he's relaxed, and he's reflecting. And he was pacified. Yes, it was worth it. Despite the troubles, my family, I left them, even anxiety and all of this. But now, those demons have been taken care of. And my promise to Brahma and the demigods have been fulfilled. So let us look for the next stage of action. You know? And then that is how the next stages of action came to be. And ultimately, Krishna left. Then Krishna gave Bhagavatam for us to be able to find light when we are influenced too much by the influence of Kali Yuga. So I want to stop here, having spoken about the enjoyer, the enjoy, false enjoyer, and surrender. And then how the Lord became pacified from the killing of the demoniac kings who were burdened to the earth. And the burden to the earth are those who are demoniac and they involved in works. They call it Asurim Baba Asrita. Asurim Baba. Unpleasant demoniac activities that destroys the world. So, and they don't surrender to Krishna. They become burdened to the earth. But Krishna takes his time, he releases the earth. So, to round up, I'll just very quickly, before I give room for questions and answers, do this little offering to our beloved brother, Pali Maharaj Das. So if you can shake your body to the rhythm, or you can just listen in a very sober mood, and then we honor this Vaishnava. Jaya Nilo Premadana Corona prachu Eno Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Taku Eno Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Taku Ahamora Swarupam Ahasanatan Kahadasarago Nata Patita Pava Kahadasa Raghunatha Patita Pava Kahamora Bata Yuga Kahakavira Ekakale Kotagela Goranatara Ekakale Kotagela Goranatara Asane Kutibo Matan Anale Pasibo Oranga Gunera Nidi Kotagele Pabo Oranga Gunera Nidi Kotagele Pabo Sesaba Sangira Sange Ekoilo Bila Sesanga Napaya Kande Narotamada Sesanga Napaya Kande Narotamada Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation: He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Srivas Acharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damoda and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishna Das Kaviraj? Where did Lord Chaitanya, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will splash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Goranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Goranga, accompanied by all these devotees in whose association he performed his pastime, Narottam Das simply weeps. Sriman Bali Maharaj Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. In case there are comments, questions, or corrections concerning the class, please feel free.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for the wonderful class. If devotees have questions, Prabhuji also asked if anybody has a comment. Questions, comments, you can.
And corrections also.
And corrections, okay. So
Maybe some chastisement or there is.
no,
Now part of correction.
Now you're trespassing.
No, it's part of correction. Guru chastises us to correct us.
Okay. So, Hare Krishna devotees. Prabhuji, I find your your class today to be very, very beautiful class, because to me, a class should stimulate the audience to ask questions. And your class is a very big stimulant, because it creates lots of questions. And those questions, if they are asked, will help the person asking the question and probably the entire audience. My first question is, oftentimes we hear devotees say that whatever happens is by the will of the Lord. And of course, we all know Krishna himself says in the Gita, not even a blade of grass moves without sanction. So my question then is, as people trying to be devotees, we have accepted that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knows best, and he always does what is best for his devotees. So if whatever happens to us as devotees in particular is all by Krishna's will, then why do we complain when things we do not want or do not expect happen to us? Is it really true that whatever happens to devotees in particular is all by Krishna's will? Or it's not everything that happens to a devotee that is Krishna's will, but it's due to the devotee's mistakes, or it's Krishna's will, but the devotees are just misunderstanding? I want you to throw a little bit more light on that.
Yeah, your question is very, very nice, very interesting, and on point. And it's going to help us as devotees. It is unequivocally affirmed, like you quoted, not even a blade of grass can move without the supreme will of Krishna. Whether it's our mistakes, whether it is other people's inflicting issues on us or circumstances, Krishna is the cause. I remember from my personal experience, when I have been traumatized many a time by being thrown out of the temple, and Kapichandra Maharaj salvaged me, brought me back to a community of devotees. And in one of the seminars, I was telling Maharaj, yeah, devotees do this, devotees do that. And then you say, what do you have to say about that? Maharaj said, Krishna is Sarva Karanam Karanam. I was not pacified with the answer. I turned my question in another dimension. I bashed at the bus stop of Sarva Karanam Karanam. I twisted it again. Maharaj was waiting for me with Sarva Karanam Karanam. So I will only a little bit digress by quoting how it's mentioned in the Bible. The Bible, it says, I know the thought I have for you. Thought of good, not evil, bringing to an expected end. Our dilemma is not that we don't know the thought of God. We don't know the bus stop or the expected end of God. That's our dilemma. But God has a perfect plan. His plans are good, and he will get to where he wants to go to. Okay? It's just like when Bhumi, from the story we read, went to Lord Brahma to complain about her predicament. Lord Brahma took them to the ocean of milk, and they submitted their petition, and they pleaded for intervention. Okay? But amazingly, the student said, thereafter, having had the distress of Mother Earth, Lord Brahma with Mother Earth, Lord Shiva, and all other demigods, approached the shore of the ocean of milk. And next it says, after reaching the shore of the ocean of milk, the demigod worshipped the supreme personality of God and Lord Vishnu, the master of the whole universe, the supreme God of all God, who provides for everyone and diminishes everyone's suffering. With great attention, they worship Lord Vishnu, who lies on the ocean of milk, by reciting the Vedic mantra known as the Purusha Shukta. And then the next one said, while in trance, Lord Brahma had the words of Lord Vishnu vibrating in the sky. It's not a private talk. It's vibrating in the sky, but not everybody could tune to that frequency. Thus he told the demigods. Now Brahma is the one communicating, but he said this vibration was in the sky. It's there for everybody. Okay? So the same design of God is there for everybody to perceive, but it depends on our constitution, how much we have been able to evolve and become absorbed in the things of God. Then we can decode. Otherwise, God is always encoding. Our capacity to decode is to the degree that we have been able to purify ourselves and make ourselves susceptible to receive. Okay, so he said, thus he told the demigods. Brahma is not the one saying, no, he's repeating what is there in the sky. Hear from me the order of Shiroda Kasha Vishnu, the supreme person, and execute it attentively without delay. Lord Brahma informed the demigods, before we submitted our petition to the Lord, he was already aware of the distress on earth. Consequently, as long as the Lord moves on the earth to diminish his burden by his own potency in the form of time, all of you demigods shall appear through plenary portions as sons and grandsons in the family of the Yadus. So what is the point there? He said, before we submitted our petition, the Lord was already aware of the distress of the earth. So God knows what we don't know. God has protected a plan for our own benefit. But because we are not aware, so we complain, or we don't seem to be convinced that it is for our interests. But whatever God does is perfect for our welfare. We should only pray to Guru and Krishna with faith that he should open our eyes and our understanding to comprehend what his plans are. He has a plan. I don't know your plan. Tell me your plan. That's why George Harrison said, my sweet Lord, I really want to know you. I really want to see you, but it takes so long, my Lord. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I don't know if that gives any insight into your question.
Hare Krishna, thank you. I would like to apologize to Dr. Patrick. I will come to you, but I have a follow-up question to Prakuji's answer, please. Dr. Patrick, if that is okay with you. Because I'm thinking if I do not ask, we might miss the link. Prabhuji, and that is, if whatever happens is by Krishna's will, then what is the need for us as devotees to go out to preach, to try to ask people to live a different lifestyle? Because whatever somebody is living is by Krishna's will, is by Krishna's plan. And so this is my little mind thinking. My thinking is that Krishna says, not even a blade of grass moves without his sanction. Sanctioning means, my understanding, it's like when we were all in boarding school, you have to go for an exit, to go out from the school campus. So your housemaster or your principal will sign your exit. That means that the principal or the schoolmaster has sanctioned your request. But he did not make the request. You, as a student, made the request, but your request alone will not allow you to move out of the school campus. You can only move out of the campus if the authority sanctions your request. Or like maybe you're working and you want to have a holiday or a leave, you will put
Vacation.
your request and then your authorities approve it, they sanction it. But they did not, the authority himself or themselves did not initiate you going for a leave or whatever. So I would like you to throw a little bit light, because to me, if everything that happens is just the way Krishna has planned it, then it makes no sense for us as devotees going out to preach. That is Krishna's plan. And who are we to try to alter Krishna's plan? Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Your question is very, very insightful. The answer also is very close. Arjun was refusing to fight, isn't it? He gave all the logic, all the convincing points. But Krishna told him, nothing wrong if you don't want to fight. These people have already killed them. But were they dead when Krishna was speaking? They were still alive. Krishna, I've already killed them. I just want you to take the glory. So yes, he said that Jivera Swarup or Enite Krishna, we're all servants of Krishna. We're all devotees of Krishna. But some of us are comatose now. Some are active now. It's just like Lakshmana said that most of the initiations they are given, is given. It's not because people are pure devotees, but it's sowing seed that will fructify in the future. Okay? So our preaching is not because we have any capacity to make anybody devotee. It's just because Krishna had requested in Bhagavad-Gita, he said, for one who explained the supreme secret of the to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. That is 1869 and in 1868. And at the end, he will come back to me. So it is our own self-benefit that we are preaching, not because we want to make a devotee. We will come back to Krishna. And Krishna also further says in 69, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So we endear ourselves by making effort to go and win souls. Just like he said in the, that God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, whomsoever believeth with him will not perish but have everlasting life. So that's what we are doing. We want to give people a reminder or a rekindle their knowledge of the eternal relationship with Krishna, which is Sambandha Gyan. It is them who will do the Abhideya. They will practice, but we have to facilitate them somehow or the other. And by doing so, we are actually consolidating our own path back home, back to God. So it is not a one-way traffic. It is a two-way thing. That yes, you benefit yourself and you benefit others. In Bhagavad-Gita Chapter 13, text 23, it says, Upadrasta mantucha, upadrasta manu, udabhastanu mantascha, bhata bhukta maheshwara. That's the word. Bhata bhukta maheshwara. Paramatmeti chabieto, they helps me, Purusha para. He said, yet, in this body, there is another. Yet in this body, there is another. So you are not alone. If you say, why should we go and preach? The super soul is there. Even if what you don't want to do, the super soul will ginger you to do. Okay? It will ignite action. Okay? A transcendental enjoyer. So God enjoys it. That's why he wants us to do it. Who is the Lord? The supreme proprietor who exists as the overseer, permitter, and who is known as the super soul. So this gives you all the answer. Yes, you gave the right example. You want to go for exit, and then your exit card has to be signed. You want to go for leave, you apply for leave. But you cannot just proceed on it because you applied. It has to be approved. So all these are already the design of God. God wants everybody back to him. And so he wants to glorify the devotees by being the ones who actualize it. That's why he insinuates us to go and preach. Otherwise, God can catch anybody the way he wants. I had one experience in Nigeria where there are baby pictures of Krishna, baby pictures, different Gopals. Okay? All of a sudden in Nigeria, all these transporters are riding yellow buses in Lagos. They were buying this, they call it China baby or Indian baby, and they were pasting it on their vehicle. But it was actually Krishna they are pasting on their vehicle. But we as devotees have not been able to move out to convince them to put Krishna on their vehicles. Okay? So Krishna can do it without us. But Krishna just wants us to take the glory. That's why we have to preach. Does that make any sense, or is just arrant nonsense?
No, never nonsense. No, no, never. But thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Patrick, I hope I did not make you forget your question. Do you still have your question or comment? Are you still there? Okay. Yeah, you can go ahead, Dr. Patrick. Well, it seems it's having issues with this audio. Hare Krishna. Anybody else with any question? Prabhuji gave room for comments.
Or
I don't know.
chastisement.
No. That is.
I think Salika Prabhu has some chastisement.
Okay, Salika Prabhu.
Then I'll go to her.
But please allow Varaha Prabhu. He has some comments to make.
Okay. After Brother Prabhu.
Okay. Shrimad Varaha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yes, we can hear you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
I'm not asking a question. I'm driving.
Okay.
Did you see my hand up? I'm driving.
Okay. I thought I was an.
So I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm listening.
All right. So maybe Salika Prabhu, you may go ahead then. Salika Prabhu.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, I'm also multitasking, and so you'll bear with me. I'm not on my video. Okay. I just wanted to make a comment on your question on the Prabhu's response. I like this subject matter because it's actually one of the impetus that brought me into Bhakti. Because just like we say in Krishna consciousness, in Islam, one of the core essence of faith in Islamic religion is that you accept everything that whatever happened in the existence as the will of Allah. And that was my dilemma that made me go into deeper searching before I became a pastor, grace, miracle, and all of that. And even when I was going to join Krishna consciousness, was still the point I got to in my development of Christian doctrine that took me to Krishna consciousness. And so it has become a very interesting topic for me. But I found answers in Krishna consciousness and from Srila Prabhupada's book. And I just want to share some little realization on that subject. Krishna consciousness.
Oh, did we lose him? It seems we lost Salika Prabhu. Yes.
I'm here.
Back.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Yeah.
Yeah, hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, good, thank you. So that question, Krishna is the doer of all activities. Yes, Krishna says, Ishvara Paraman Krishna is the control of everything. And in chapter 7 of Bhagavad-Gita, if you look at text number 8, Krishna has already explained there how is the ability in every living entity. But our acharyas have explained that yes, Krishna is the doer of everything, and they actually permit everything. But there are three doers, according to the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And Krishna in particular clarified this in text number 27 of chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna explains how the living entity initiates the course of action, and material nature engages in it. Prabhu quoted the verse earlier on. Prakite kriya manani guna kama vibhagasha. Ankara vimudatma kataham iti mayate. Emphasizing that material nature is the actor in every activity. But before the material nature, in chapter 7, verse number 27 of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, he told Arjuna that Isha Dvesha Samutenam, Dondwa Mohinam Bharata, Sarva Bhutani Samuham, Sarge Yanti Parantapa, that O son of Bharat, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewilderment by dualities arising from Isha Dvesha, desire and hate. So it is our desire that promulgate, that give the rise, that bring about the cause of what we experience. Even though Krishna is the permitter, as he said in chapter 7, text number 8, that I am the ability in man. Krishna gives the permission, material nature executes, but living entity is the initiator, because that is what Krishna gives when he said, I give them the minute independence to choose. So even though Krishna is the doer of all activities, he is the cause of all activities, is the Sarva Karana, but it does not interfere with our independence to make a choice. And that is what he explained to Arjuna in that verse I quoted, 7:28, that it is our desire and our delusion that brings about. So when we desire, we initiate, and material nature complements, as explained in 3:27, and Krishna permits, as confirmed in 7 verse 8. So yes, Krishna is the doer of all activities, but living entity is the cause of, or the primary cause. Material nature is the secondary cause, and then Krishna is the supreme cause of all activities. That's what I wanted to contribute. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. That's a very sastric, scriptural. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Krishna.
Thank you.
So any other question? Prabhuji also gave room for comments. Prabhuji, I have one more question. I think it was Advaita Acharya Prabhu who gave class that day, and our beloved Varaha Prabhu asked this question about. No. It was this devotee from India, forgotten his name. He does the Bhakti Shastri teaching. So Varaha Prabhu asked this question about the usage of the word idol. You know, why devotees, acharyas, advanced devotees use the word the idol of Krishna. And he was saying that why don't we use the word Murti? So he gave lots.
What is his name? Vishnu, that Prabhu from Mira Road.
Yeah. He gave class that day.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to show this. It's amazing because Prabhu was saying that mantra is Sanskrit, guru is Sanskrit, but all these words have now become acceptable in the social world. Everybody uses it and everybody understands it. So here is a dictionary, and it says idol. An idol, it says, it could mean an icon, god, image, of course, little god, likeness, fetish, totem, statue, figure, figurine, doll, carving, graven image, false god, effigy, golden calf. Now, it's very interesting that if you come down here, I hope you see the screen. It says cult image. And then here you see Murti. Murti is now accepted in the World Dictionary.
Yeah.
And it says a point of focus for devotion or meditation in Hindu and Buddhist religion. And it's not always man-made. You see, so it becomes very difficult for devotees to preach when we are like giving DVDs for comings to watch, like DVDs to watch, like how the creation came about, you know. And then on the DVD, those who made the movie, they clearly write it on the DVD. This is Hindu mythology. Now, if the makers of the movie are saying it's a mythology, how best do we try to explain to the general populace that it's not a mythology? This is just a way of trying to help people. I don't know exactly what to say. That's why I'm asking, Prabhuji, if you can help. The people who made the movie are saying it's a mythology. And how then do I try to tell somebody else that, hey, this is not mythology, it's real?
Yeah. The first thing is we have to understand that these are all expressions of semantics, use of language. It's different people using language randomly. But then, if you look from the definition we have read now, there are certain things we have to pick. Actually, the word idol was part of what the colonial masters used to put Vaishnavism, Hinduism, or the Vedic culture to derogate it. Idol, okay, is language.
Yeah.
And they so abuse people's mind that they now think it's fetish.
Yeah.
It's a campaign, it's a propaganda. And its use of Lara use the word semantics. But over time now, people are beginning to see that there are more to it than what they told them over time. Okay? So in the same way, easily anybody can say Hinduism is a quick way to express Vedic culture. But if we are thorough and we really want to do a thorough job, it's first to disassociate ourselves from Hinduism because we are not Hindus. Okay? We are not Hindus. So if we are speaking outside the concept of Hinduism, then we can lay our facts as it is. Because in reality, Hinduism does not exist anywhere in our scriptures. Christianity is found only in one place in the New Testament. Otherwise, Christianity is also not in the Bible. Hinduism does not exist anywhere in the Vedic scripture. Okay? So if we disassociate ourselves from Hinduism, then automatically we'll be able to cross over the hurdle of mythology, and then we'll now bring Siddhanta. Okay? And also, when you talk about idol and their mutis and all of this, yes, they are mutis. But you see that in Krishna consciousness, he says Krishna accepts the muti form, the deity form. He accepts it just to reciprocate with the devotees. So deities. Deify means Krishna accepts to ensoul in that to reciprocate with the devotee. So the deity is not different from the devotee. From the interpretation you just read from the dictionary, yes, it's not wrong to become liberal thinkers if we also accommodate the concept idol from the definition you gave. But you can see that people have already been indoctrinated that idol means it is fake. So what we do is, first of all, disalign from it. Then we'll be able to have a level playing ground to present our points. That's what I can make as input to it. But it is up to us how we create the enabling situation and how we're able to impress some people.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Thank you so much for that answer. And I mean, as you're giving the answer, I'm also thinking about some things, and I think I now have a better way of trying to explain to others if they're talking about you guys worship idols or whatever you're saying is just a myth. I have a better way of trying to say something to try to help them understand.
I will just add this. I also like to always apply this.
Yeah.
Because of the Bible concept, you see, they use the word Baal in that definition that we read now. Mm-hmm. Baal. Mm-hmm. It originates from the Old Testament Bible of the worshippers of Baal. They created a bull image of themselves out of their intuitive likes and dislike. It's an image is born out of imagination. An idol is born out of idea. But deities are not. Okay? So when Elijah challenged the worshippers of Baal, he told them to bring their deity, worship him, and then offer ram to him. That if he's able to answer by consuming the offering, then we accept him as God. They took the challenge and they started. They called Baal from AM to PM. That Baal did not respond. So Elijah said, maybe Baal has gone to see his girlfriend or he went shopping. So let's give him a break. We'll come back to him. So Elijah created a shrine. Take note of this. He created a shrine, a sacred place of worship in they call it Celestial Sanctum, a place to communicate with the divine. And then he put 12 stones. If you take from the biblical inference that thou shalt not have strange God, things made of earth, heaven, and in water, thou shalt not adore them or serve them. Okay, that is what the present Christians interpret as idol worship. Okay, but Elijah took 12 stones, which is things of the earth, and he put it on the altar. But he ensouled these stones by using the word God of Elijah. No, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Israel. These were the words he used to ensoul the stones. So those ordinary earthly stones did not act as earthly stones again. They became embodied. And that's what happened when we do pram pratista. Otherwise, the muti or the deity is carved by a sculptor, made from earthly thing. But during pram pratista, the acharya begs Krishna to be ensouled in that and reciprocate with his worshippers. That is the difference. So I present to the Christian that if you say we worship idol, it means Elijah also worshiped idol. But Elijah's type of idol could evoke fire and consume an offering. And in our own case, sometimes we feel, oh, no. The deities don't eat. They don't accept whatever we give them. But we have scriptural evidence where a Brahmana boy was told by the father to offer. And then when he offered and Krishna did not take, he said, oh, you want to put me in trouble? My daddy will kill me today. So he went and brought a stick and told Krishna, you must eat. Oh. If you don't eat, I will spank you. You know, that is the ras. And Krishna ate. So when the boy came out and told the mom that he has finished offering, the mom said, where is Prasad now? He said, what Prasad? Krishna has eaten everything. The mom thought he was playing pranks. So when the father came back, she mentioned it to him. And the father said the boy must be kidding. He should repeat the exercise. You know, he went in to offer again. And then when he offered, because the father was there, Krishna did not respond. Then he went again and broke. He said, Krishna, don't try this with me. You ate before. You want to make me look like a live boy. You must eat now. The father was outside, okay? And Krishna came to eat. But as soon as the father peeped from the curtain, Krishna just stood akimbo. And then he did not continue. So the father knew that the son has a deeper relation with Krishna, that he can eat directly. You know, otherwise the philosopher says Krishna can eat. He can perform different sense activities by different other senses. Like he said, you can see Krishna in the pages of Bhagavatam through your ears, not with your eyes. That looks allegorical, but that is real.
Real, yeah.
You understand? So these are the inference that we can make and then be able to wriggle out of the existing indoctrination. That's why Prabhupada used the word. This world misguided civilization. There's been a lot of misdirection, and the people are cheated by so many things. So it's a Herculean uphill task to really attend to it.
All right, thank you. Well, it seems devotees are awake now. Prabhuji, you woke up devotees. Dr. George, you may unmute and ask your question, please.
Okay, yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat pronounce.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Krishna Prabhu, once again, thank you very much for your wonderful lecture. Prabhu, according to Bhagavad-Gita Chapter 7, text number 16, Krishna says, oh, birds among the Bharatas, Arjun, 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me. The distress, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for the knowledge of the absolute. And when you continue, Krishna may mention that all these souls, they are wonderful souls and they are magnanimous souls. So when it comes to philosophy, I'm assuming that we think we are all devotees. For that matter, we speak philosophy, living the basics. Why am I saying so? To some of us, we join devotional service not to be devotees, but something is pursuing us from the outside world. That is why we join devotional service. But it appears to me that always we speak philosophy, but we don't touch on the basics. Why? Because normally sometimes on Sunday class too, we have a lot of people coming day in, day out. I mean the newcomers. But to see that the speakers speak philosophy, leaving the basics, where some people join is because some people have been coming for the first time. And I'm saying this in a reference to, I learned that in Chopati, they have various stages of classes. They identify people and capture on whatever the mentality they have. They have the business class, they have some other people. But here it's like they group all of us together and give us philosophy, which is not going down well with us. And to some extent, if you cannot carry it any longer, then we leave devotional service. So isn't that we take a clue from this chapter that we are not all devotees. For that matter, some people are in from something else, so that we can touch on such on other people also, so that they can also understand where we are coming from, so that through that, then one day we can also come to the level of being a devotee. So I don't know if this is suggesting or question. So I know where you can tackle it from, so that you give me a perfect answer, because I'm a little bit confused. Because personally, Prabhu, there are a lot I'm going through. The other day too, I called you. In fact, you gave me a very wonderful answer. But Prabhu, to be honest with you, we are downhearted. So knowing where I'm coming from, I hope you can touch on that point and give me a vivid answer. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you very much. Your question is a very thought-provoking question. And I will start by making some moderation. The first thing, that we are all devotees. That's what the scripture says. Okay? And the scripture also says that there are stages in devotion. We have the Kanista, we have the Madhyama, we have the Uttama Adhikari. So that's where you are trying to mix things up. We are all devotees. So Jivera Swarup Ahoy, Krishna Nitya Das. We are eternal servants of Krishna. Now, one secret thing that most people don't know. The material world is designed for two things. One is to facilitate you to take to devotional service, or to frustrate you. Material life is frustrating. And when you are frustrated, what will happen? You take to Krishna. So when you say Chato Vanya Maya Siswa Guna Kama, no. He said Chato Vida Bhajan Teman. 4 kinds of people surrender to me. Why they are called magnanimous is that they would have gone to voodoo priests, they would have gone somewhere else. But because they came to Krishna, which is their original source that they should go to, that's why they are called magnanimous. They came to Krishna. Now, it depends on their piety and the reciprocation they get. They can be transformed from whatever level they come to meet Krishna. And they will become reestablished, reinstated in the original conceived position of being devotees of Krishna. So it is not that we are not devotees. We are devotees, but we are devotees of
2020.
We are devotees of different levels. Okay? So, but Krishna also defined that. He said, but the one who is, he says it in text number 18, all these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls. What makes one magnanimous? That he can be able to still identify with Krishna. But it says, he who is situated in knowledge. Okay, you can see now you are chasing systematic cultivation of Krishna conscious knowledge. Systematic cultivation. And that is what you are applauding Chopati for. Chopati, I'll tell you frankly, the counselors came to Maharaj and complained that they are frustrated. They have their own family life. They have their professional life. And they have their counselee's life to deal with. That is frustrating. You know what answer Maharaj gave him? Maharaj said, the counselor, the mentee system was created because I was also frustrated. The devotees are many. How many people can
exploded?
How many people cannot attend to? So I was frustrated, but my frustration made me thoughtful, and I created this system. So we cannot blame our environment now. It's just that maybe because we are not become frustrated enough, so we are not thinking outside the box. But when that level of frustration comes, we'll start doing things differently. And that means, like you are proposing, there should be different forums for different people. Like when people come to Krishna consciousness, not even from in the temple, the preaching is all around. People who come to the hospital, Bhaktivedanta Hospital, they preach to them. They don't have anything to do with devotion. They are not telling them to become devotees, but they introduce them to chanting. They introduce them to the etiquettes of Krishna consciousness. What does this, the 20 strands of bead that you have? You know, you have 20 strands of your counter. You can't keep 16 on one side, you keep 4 on one side. Isn't it? What does it indicate? It has a meaning. Those are the basic fundamental things that people are groomed. What is the four regulative principles? Why no meeting? Why no this? What is chanting for? These are not philosophies, ethics and moral and value. So, but our system is still going through, what do you call it? We're doing cocktail still. But time will come when cocktail will not work anymore, and then we'll define things. And that's why I'm also supporting the agenda that the more people get educated in Krishna conscious philosophy, they will be able to read in between the lines and know what to give to who. That's what they are doing there. So somebody can be doing this mentorship for 2 years, chanting 4 rounds, come to 8 rounds, come to 16 rounds, and then strive beyond 16 rounds. But actually, it didn't change that you have to chant 64 rounds. It didn't change. Prabhupada said minimum 16. And if you take that 16 that you chanted, you see your counter, you have 4. Let me get my chanting back. I will explain it. All right. So you can see here, you have 4 and you have 16. All is 20. Now this 16, if you complete these 16 rounds, multiply by 1 is 16. Multiply by 2, it becomes 32. Multiply by 3, it gives you 48. If you multiply by 4, it gives you 64. So actually, by chanting your 16 rounds like this, the potency of Mahaprabhu multiplies it. Potency of Prabhupada multiplies it by 4, and you're actually doing 16 rounds. These are basic rudimentary understandings. But philosophy will not give you that. So yes, you have a point. People come because they are in distress. They can get succor by coming. It's like me. I joined because I was in big distress. I came to temple because I was in big distress. I was a drug addict. I was peddling. And then Nigerian circumstance, although it was better then than now. But you can work for 6-7 months, no salary. You know? And so what is the use? I just felt, okay, maybe if I go back to India where I schooled, I may find respite. So I came to India, but I was already reading Prabhupada's book. And then when I got, they gave me Bhagavad-Gita, I added to it. I read Bhagavad-Gita in 7 days. The translations only. And to read Bhagavad-Gita 7 days, I need some concentration. You know, drug head cannot settle. So I have to give up drug, alcohol, and whatever, just to find some recollection. But you will not believe it. After 7 days of reading these translations, the first thing that came to my emotion was, oh boy, you tried. Better go for 1 stick of cigarette now. And I took a stick of cigarette, I lit it, I took a puff. But that puff was so distasteful that I extinguished the cigarette. That is the last cigarette I smoked. Okay? So I had my challenges, but then by coming in contact with Krishna consciousness, I found succor. And I'll tell you frankly, many of my mates, some were amputated in Egypt for pushing drugs, some were in prison in Spain and in different parts of the world. But just by coming to Krishna conscious temple, taking prasadam, listening to Bhagavatam classes, attending to program, and reading this, chanting my rounds, I didn't need to go through a rehabilitation center to give up drugs. You understand? So many people come for different reasons, but it depends on their piety, sukriti. That's why I said, Jana sukriti no Arjuna. Okay, your piety will make what work for you. But then as preachers, we should be compassionate and understanding that there are different strokes for different folks. That's what you are saying, Dr. George. Different strokes for different folks. This will come by evolution of preaching. When we start evolving in our preaching, we start seeing that there are people who will only come for prasadam only. Look like the owner of iPhone. What is his name? The CEO of iPhone. He said he used to trek kilometers to come and take
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. He treks 7 kilometers every Sunday to go and take a very healthy vegetarian meal. He didn't become a devotee, but that statement alone is a big image builder for our movement. And many others like that. So it's just the kind of impact you make on the people. That's what determines. And so our 3 PowerPoints of preaching Krishna consciousness is not just philosophy. The practical thing is you give the books to those who can read. Even if they can't read, give them the book, let them touch it. Give them the holy name in Kirtan, in Harinam. You can see once the Kirtan is rocking, it doesn't matter who they are. They shake their body to the rhythm. Isn't it? That is one way of increasing their piety. The third one is to give prasadam. These are the 3 bullet points that we have to spread Krishna consciousness. Philosophy, when the intelligence has become purified and the heart is purified, then understanding will come. This is sequential. It is sequence. But if we are not using methodology, look like the case of our Lord Jesus Christ. Jesus came with profound beatitude to preach. But he was intuitive enough to know that these guys, they won't stay for all this elaborate philosophy. They will go because they will be hungry in a while. So Jesus said, oh, let me leave this beatitude. And he asked, what do you have there that we can feed these people? Jesus did food for life. And we are doing food for life in this country. Okay? And he fed 5,000 people with only 5 fishes and 2 fishes and 5 loaves. Whichever way the formula comes. But he multiplied by sanctifying it. What did he do? Jesus offered this and it became holy sacred communion. And he gave them prasad, even though it's prasad at that level. But what impressed on them is that, wow, this guy has some kind of mystical food that from little you can feed thousands. So the next day they came and Jesus told them, today it's not about food, it's about philosophy. But he said he moved them from the plain to a mount. Means the consciousness was raised from low thinking to high thinking. And then he put in the beatitude. So the same way we should raise people from low thinking to high thinking. But it's not that they would condemn their level of evolution. No, don't condemn them, don't destroy them. We have to be sympathetic to people at whatever level they are. But we don't have to give them false promises and we don't have to push them beyond their limits. Take them as they are. Each person's security will speak for him and then they will make the transition. Okay? So this is what I can add to it. It's not that they are not devotees. We're all devotees, but we are different levels. Some want money, some want wealth, some want, what did they say? Some are just inquisitive, and some are in distress. So different people will find support. It depends on who they meet, then they'll find solution. I don't know if that gives you any insight into answer for your question.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Very detailed, very elaborate. And I think from the answers you gave, probably I think it will be very ideal we have workshop sometime about such topics because it's very important for our movement. Probably your time is quite late. There is one hand up. Would you pick it or?
I do this austerity once in a while, so I am comfortable.
We're sorry. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thanks for accommodating. Sri Kavi, please, you may unmute and ask your question, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhu. Prabhu, thank you very much for the sacrifice and austerity. And thank you for the wonderful lecture you are giving us. Is the thing is rejuvenating our spirit. So
you are my inspiration.
No, Prabhu, you are the real inspiration, Prabhu. Sometimes you don't have questions, but when you start answering questions, before you know, something will come up. So I really happy, Prabhu. So Prabhu, my question is that recently there was one day I was in one ISKCON group, so they sent one link, and then that link will lead me to one house, and that house they call it Clubhouse. So I started familiarizing myself with that clubhouse. And that link was sent by actually Chupati devotees. They were having some program in that clubhouse also. So me, I started as a KRSNA, I started familiarizing myself in that clubhouse. So actually in that clubhouse, there's so many things there. And devotees are just making use it for the Krishna conscious also. So I now created my own club in that clubhouse. And I call it Libra Minds Club. So the people who now came to that my club, they were mainly atheists. Because you were talking about this, Bible, the scriptures and the deities and everything. So these people who came to my house, they were mainly atheists. Prabhu, these people, they can stay with you for hours just to waste your time and tell you that whatever you are quoting from, they don't believe in it unless you prove it. Okay, you say there is so, oh yeah, prove it. Prabhu, these people, they are very, Prabhu, these people, Prabhu, if you see what happened, you quote and use that Shishopanishad lecture of Prabhupada and explain to them how you get your own knowledge and everything. These people, they will just come with one question. Just prove it. And they're very experts in the science of indirectly insulting people. Very expert. Yeah. So he now occurred to me. I said, Prabhu, let me ask this question because it came to a point. Anything I wanted to do in that my clubhouse, these guys, they would just come and they start disturbing people and started asking questions. And they don't believe. Just show all those your scripture you are quoting from. Prove how those people get the knowledge. Have you seen God? Is this, that? If you say is param, there's always that param. They just start. They will just make everything difficult, and they will be indirectly wasting people's time.
They will frustrate your enemy.
Oh, that is their main. So what really happened was the last time I now hold that clubhouse. So after we have discussed, the topic of that day is where is God? That was my topic. Where is God? So after we have finished discussing and they have tried to disrupt the whole thing, I controlled them and pushed them aside, and people were just floating and discussing nicely. So at the end of the day, I now came out of that house. I didn't off the house. I didn't end it. So I now went back. They didn't know that I was hearing them. The two of those atheists, they were talking to themselves that, you see, we have injected them with those things. They will go and start thinking about it. And this, you see. So I now say, okay, so these people they are consciously, try to waste people's time. So the next day, I opened the house. Immediately I opened the house, they will come immediately. Immediately it came, only one of them. I didn't allow anybody to come. Pabu, I fired this guy. So since then, he ran away. He didn't come again. I say he's a dog. Pabu, I use every word. I'm sorry. So my question now, Pabu, of all this story, my question is that, so people like this, how can you prove to them the existence of the Vedas? That is just my question, because they make life difficult. Okay, Veda is is superwoman and is older than man and all this, and things that are beyond our senses. You cannot, like Prabhupada gave example of you have to ask your mother which is the Vedas. So how can we? I'm sorry. How can we genuinely, face this guy in case they stumble into my house again, so that I can fire them?
Yeah, firing them is like applying a defeatist approach. You want to defeat them, but our philosophy is not about defeating; it's about convincing. Okay, it's just like what Rupa Goswami and the philosopher who came to argue with him. Rupa Goswami don't want to waste his time. He knows he's more knowledgeable than him. He just told him, bring your paper or defeat, I will sign. You have defeated me, go. So that he can use his time for better things. Otherwise, these guys can put you emotional trauma. You'll be devastated. You won't sleep. You'll be thinking about them. But what we are taught in the scripture is Even if it's prasad, you can give them. Don't discourage it. Just give them, let them give and go away. Prasadam will do the magic. Give them book. Let them go and spend time reading. Or engage them in chanting. Even if they don't participate, you can just be having a kirtan session. And automatically they'll be influenced because it's about cleansing. Cheto Dapana Mahajana. You know, the conditioning of lifetimes cannot go away in 1 minute. So you have to find the appropriate approach that will make you be safe, because if they devastate you, you may even become confused yourself. So that's what I can say. Instead of trying to defeat them, find a way to convince them. And the convincing will come from the mysteries of Krishna consciousness. You know, I like in Bhagavad-Gita, there are many places where the word mystery, 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 mystery. When they use the word mystery, I don't think, well, are we a mystical organization? But you understand? But there are mysteries in Krishna consciousness. So let the mysteries work rather than we trying to do the work. The mysteries can work for us. That's only what I can advise. Otherwise, you have not met real kamis. There's one devotee I brought to Lagos. I made him participate in, there's one seminar we did. He even got a certificate. He got a copy of Bhagavad-Gita from me. He's very proud of it. So many places he goes to, he has to pay to get Bible. He has to pay to get our Quran. But he came to us, we gave him Bhagavad-Gita free. And he reads it. But he's an atheist. First order. Whatever you say, go on in. You understand? So what will you do? Just leave those people so that you can have your peace of mind. That's what I can say. Although I don't have a magic, I don't have a magic wand to defeat them.
Thank you, Babu. No, Babu, I've left them because my mood is not to defeat them, but they come inside when I'm having discussion with people, and they are so aimed. Why they come inside is to disturb us. So we have to
but you are diseducated in a Vaishnava procedure. They dealing with the 7 intelligence, the 7 type of intelligent people. They fall into one category, you know. So what you do is you have to find engagement for them, or neglect them. Just keep them, or don't make them as if they don't exist. Okay, this is different ways of dealing with different kinds of intelligent people. And there are some who are very calculative, mathematical. Give them some tough puzzle of maths. Let them be dealing with it. And you carry on with your program. You know, it's method. That's why teaching is done based on method. We have to have method. Once you have the right method, you'll be able to control your audience. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for your suggestion.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. See, Sri Ganga Prasad Prabhu, this reminds me of one of our God brothers, Haridam Prabhu, when he would go out with me on book distribution. Excuse me. And maybe a Christian will come to attack, with tough questions and very, very harsh attacks. And then he would say, so do you think Islam is a bad religion? And say, yeah. And then there will be a Muslim. So he will quickly, he will give me a wink, he will wink his eye to me, and then I move. And then we leave the debate with the Muslim and the Christian. We go.
Yeah. That is one formula I learned from Krishna Pad.
Yeah, you have
used
to
do panel programs in the on television.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the synopsis of the discussion has nothing to do with Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
But Srila Krishna Pad said, you have to be relevant so that people will know you are there. So when you find one person in the panel who is speaking intelligently, align with him. That's what Haridas has done. Align with somebody.
Yeah.
And then they will say, oh, this guy has something to offer, but they are not giving anything, So we call that body language. You align your body with somebody who has something to offer.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Oladimeji has his hand up.
I think Sriman Varaha also has his hands up.
Yeah, he comes and goes. We'll take Srimad Varaha after Olet Meji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I want to pay my humble obeisances to the lotus feet of all devotees. Prabhu Ganga, you have actually done a very good justice to the question. And my contribution, I just want to add a contribution to the set of people that when you preach to them, they do not want to listen. There is no way you can do it. I just want to reference in the Holy Quran where the prophet was trying to do the preaching and these people were not listening. And the revelation came and God told him that, you see, I sent you to preach to them. But there are some living entity, there are some living beings that there is nothing you can tell them. I have blocked their soul. I have blocked everything about them. They will never listen. So once you get to that level and you notice them, just tell them the right thing and just leave them. There is nothing you can do. I control them not to listen. They are part of the people that there is nothing anybody can do about it. They will never take up your religion. So I think those people are sets of people that there is nothing you can tell them. Their soul has been, they call it Stephen soul or Stephen heart. So I think I just want to contribute that those are the people that falls into that category. So we just have to find a way of neglecting them. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It reminds me of the experience of Moses and Pharaoh. God sent Moses to Pharaoh. He gave him magic wand. He gave him all these miracles and signs and wonder. But he told Moses, I have hardened the heart of Pharaoh. You can't convince him. Because if you do any miracle or magic, Pharaoh will counter it. But God told Moses, it is because I have set him out for a particular design of destruction. I will perfect it. But you just go ahead and carry my emissary. This also gives clue to the question you ask, why should we preach? Okay, God has his own plans, design. He will achieve it. But we just do our own so that we'll find ourselves in God's good book. So Moses went. Moses did all the miracles, signs and wonders. Pharaoh countered it. But the last straw that God told Moses to do was the sign of the blood of the lamb, the Passover. He said, tell every one of them to put the blood of the lamb on their doorsteps, who are Israelites. Once the angel of death comes, if he sees the sign of the blood, he will pass over. And he will go and kill all the first male children of the Egyptians. When the Egyptians woke up in the morning and saw that all their first sons had died, including that of Pharaoh, they knew that this one passed them. And the Pharaoh said, Moses, take your people and get the hell out of here. And then they started for their journey. But on their way, it's like the illusion or the hardened, Prabhu Oladimeji, he said he hardened the heart. Their heart is hardened. Their heart became softened and the hardness came again. No, if these people go, who will do our slave job? Who will do our menial job? So they started chasing them to go and bring them back. So the Israelites were between the Red Sea and the invading Egyptians. And the Israelites were crying, what do we do now? The sea is in front and the enemies are behind. Where do we go? So Moses just cried unto God, and God said, you have the solution. Use your rod and wipe the Red Sea. It will create path for you. You cross. So they crossed. While they were crossing, the Israelites were coming after them. When the Israelites have crossed, the Egyptians were coming after them. Israelites crossed, the Egyptians were in the middle of the sea, and then God told Abraham, wipe the sea, and the sea closed mouth. That is how Pharaoh lost his life. So what did he say? There's one language they say, Yoruba language. Only word of mouth consume Pharaoh. Okay? So thank you for that contribution. Yeah, it just rekindled my memory of this story. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Well, finally, we have Srimad Varaha. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Haribol,
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Prabhu, Ganga Prabhu.
Hare Krishna
Thank you
Maharaj.
very much.
Obeisance
Thank
at your
you very
lotus
much.
feet.
I
Thank you.
I
should be asking the question, waiting for your glorious answers.
No, stop that. Anyway, thank you for the nice narratives. So many questions were there, but let me cut them short. First is the question from Dr. George. Very, very important question he was asking. And that question is relevant because there is a debate going on this forum. On this forum, you know, the demise of Prabhu Bali led to the Guru Kavichandra Maharaj saying that don't wait till people die before you appreciate them. You should, you know, something like that. And many people, you know, were inspired by that.
Yeah.
Only for one devotee, you know, he has this habit of always saying that you just have to chant Hare Krishna. And he came up with that. Yeah, he came up with that again. I've not had time to go and reply him, you know, just to again, you know, water down that what do you call it? The momentum.
Yeah.
You know, and this is what is our problem, that most often when some nice points come up, philosophy, to inspire people to live up to, you know, expectations in both ways, spiritual, material. Somebody comes in thinking he knows more than everyone else and just chant Hare Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he inaugurated the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. I don't think this devotee knows more than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when Sanatana Goswami was sick, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going personally to go visit him and give him prasad. He could have said, oh, just chant Hare Krishna, and you know, all the devotee care would just come automatically. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took steps to go and, you know, give prasad to a devotee, Sanatana Goswami. There are many, many stories we can find. And
same he did with Haridas Thakur too.
With Haridas Thakur. No, let me cut this point short. The philosophy, many times people misapply it. You know, they just think they've understood and they misapply. And when they're presenting it in such a way that, like he said, like Bhakta George said, many people who come to the consciousness or to Krishna consciousness for their needs, they get discouraged. You know, they don't see the link. They don't just see where's the missing point or the link to get them to depend on Krishna for their needs. So what that devotee said, but for what class of people? That may be for the Uttama Adhikari, but not for the Kanistas, not for the non-devotees.
No, I don't think it's
so they keep using. So this is I'm just using this. I'm just using these.
Shrimad Mahaprabhu, you might have to reposition yourself.
Yeah, network is
question he asked to respond to that argument going on there about just chanting and so anyway, so I hope the point is touching the heart. It's a very important point. And you go read those comments and you will see that this devotee is right. Okay? So that is just a comment, and maybe you may have something to say about it. The other things, just let me leave them because, you know, you've already stayed a little long. So you can give your perception to this, Prabhu, just to touch on the point that sometimes we misapply our philosophy in our preachings, and there's no one checking. I mean, that devotee speaking there, and everyone just like accepting it, hook and sink line, like it's correct. It's not. It's not our philosophy. It isn't. And that type of preaching is meant for the Uttama Adhikari. It's not for everybody. So you cannot use it as a yardstick for devotees' care. I think Guru Kavichandra Maharaj knew better when he made this suggestion. How come he is saying that you should just chant Hare Krishna? If you chant sincerely, everything will be all right. And we don't need to do anything else.
Well, Prabhuji, you like I said earlier, I should be asking and you give the answers. But because you have given me internal motivation, whatever I say will be because you inspire me to say, yes, the person who is saying chant Hare Krishna, you rightly define him. He may be an Uttama Adhikari, and so he thinks everybody is on the same platform. You cannot force him. He's right. But then, what the scripture says, you have to come down. You have to come down to the level of the Madhyama so that you can relate. Just like what one of my directors in the company was telling me. He's a director in the company, but he goes out with his driver to socialize, eat, drink, do whatever. So some people were inducting, sir, why is it that you stoop so low to go and drink and eat with your driver? And the man said, if I don't do this, I will not be able to understand his needs and I will not be able to help him. So we have to put ourselves in these people's shoes if really we want to express compassion, because it's all about compassion. Like he said, out of the abundance of the heart, you cannot give what you don't have. If there's no compassion in the heart, you cannot give it to anybody. So, but if compassion is there, it will make us be able to feel their pulse and be able to know what is best to do for them. Like I said, it is different strokes for different folks. Different stroke for different folks. So some people, it may be just give them prasadam, and prasadam will be doing the mystery. Some people, you just make them touch book, the book will be doing the mysteries. And some people also, somehow, there may be facility that will rekindle the opportunities. I'll give this example. In Port Harcourt, there is this, Bayo is very popular. I'm sure you know Bayo Bakare. Okay? Bayo was a teacher in a government secondary school, and he was very comfortable with that. Simple guy, because he was a TM student, transcendental meditation. So he was coming to temple regularly, was very punctual, and he was diligently doing his job and living his normal life and practicing vegetarianism. But then, because he's coming regularly, this devotee, George Obuma, picked interest in him and asked him, is it just this teaching you want to continue to do? Don't you think of doing something else or looking for a better job? The guy said, I'm not coming to temple because I want a different lucrative job. I'm coming for Krishna. So just said, think about it. I may be able to give you some offer. And then Bayo thought of it and got back to George. And then he gave him opportunity that he engaged him in his company. And Bayo hammered and became a breadwinner that he is today by working in marine and shipping companies. Okay, so such opportunities can be made available to people also. It's not just chant Hare Krishna. You see people according to their need, you give them the opportunity that is there. So that's just what I can contribute. And that will help also, because what they are doing in Chopati really falls in this line. They are not telling you about pure devotional service from beginning. They want you from your niche, from where you are comfortable now, to start doing small. Chant 4 rounds, chant 2 rounds. Even if you are doing that for 2 years, nobody condemns you. But then your source of livelihood, you have to maintain it. You know? And if you don't have one, they find a way to give you some saver where you earn some money and you are still doing your little devotional engagement. So these are practical things that could happen. And it's just that we all don't think alike. That's the unfortunate thing. And there's some people who are very dynamic. Instead of us complimenting them, we want to bootleg them and devastate them. So, but what can we do? We have to depend on Krishna and pray to Krishna to touch everybody's hearts so that we can come to the same wavelength, or at least reason together, because two cannot work together without agreement. This is what I can say. If it makes any sense, permit me.
Well, thank you.
I just, want you to throw light, and you've done justice. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, we've gone 2 hours, 20 minutes. We're taking so much of it.
Yeah, I know we have taken Prabhu Ganga's time. It's just that we don't get opportunity to get this association more often.
Prabhu, me say I want to swallow. Enough of chapati.
Prabhu, I'm sorry. It's the time to swallow here, so I'm sorry.
You're exhibiting it. It's not that you're hiding it.
I'm sorry, Prabhu. I'm sorry, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, just like what Shriman Varahacharya Prabhu was saying, yes, it's the argument between me and my stepbrother, David. You know, David is the one who brought that argument up. And me, when I was trying to take him up, I was taking him personally, because I know the movement has its own shortcomings. We devotees, we have our own shortcomings. But me, because he's saying he's the one who bringing it up, I'm taking him up personally. That is why it look as if I like kind of supported whatever Bayo Prabhu mentioned about later on about chanting, because I know David himself has his own shortcoming. Now you want to point out the whole movement shortcoming. So when individuals have their own problem, who are you to come and point out the finger to others? So that is my own point with him. It's not about any other thing. We know that we have to chant, and at the same time, we have to be compassionate and relate properly. But me, I was taking him up properly. So Shrimamba Varahacharya, that is what was happening actually.
Thank you for giving that clarification.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, 1 minute.
Hare Krishna.
1 minute. Sorry, 1 minute. 1 minute, Salika Prabhu. Salika, you can complement what I want to say. What we are taught in conflict resolution ombudsman is that certain issues of conflict reconciliation, you don't do it on social media. You will not solve the problem. You know, you are taking him personal, but it's on social media, and somebody else is going to give his own interpretation, interpolation, and misinterpretation, and the problem expands. But if you make time to reach that person one-on-one, you can get to the bottom of the issues. Salika, you can complement this or then say what you want to say.
Thank you very much for your compassion. Actually, I'm in the middle of speaking, but I just couldn't go away because when you start dropping the nectar, even the demigods have to stand on the tree side and be listening. So you're always churning. But I just wanted to mention briefly on Shriman Varahacharya's comments. Actually, you already dealt with that in the earlier answers to some of the questions. The thing is that Parachandra Prabhu, which formerly back Bayo, has that attitude, and it is this level of understanding. And sometimes, when, like you said, there are some people, they just have developed a kind of mindset. No matter what you tell them, they just want to act on the basis. I also noticed that, but I just left him, allowed him to go on with that, because actually what Kavikanapura Prabhu and Dr. David was doing, I understand the both of them, so that wasn't of a concern. But at the same time, Bharachandra Prabhu's position was very, very outside of the points that was being discussed. And maybe someone who is a little bit more closer to maybe like someone like you can call him sometimes and speak with him. He most of the time go off the track. But because I spoke with him after that exercise, but I find a way of keeping it. I know you will not agree that he was speaking something wrong, but I mentioned to him that sometimes the comment he makes sometimes actually go off track, but he doesn't see it that way. So, and when you have somebody like that, you just allow him to be. Just pray for him in your heart so that Krishna someday will make him realize the higher truth. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's why you are Salika Raj.
Okay, Hare Krishna. I think we have to let Sri Ganga Prabhu go so that he can attend Mangarati and pray for us.
All right. Thank you very much.
So-
I'm praying fervently that I don't become a victim of omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient wave of COVID. So it's very likely that I'll be joining you people back in Africa very, very soon.
Hare
There you
Krishna.
go.
My life is becoming very unbearable here.
Hare Krishna.
Without vaccine, without this, you cannot do many things. You cannot get train tickets. You cannot enter rickshaw. So it's like incarceration. So, but I know that no place like home. If I go to Nigeria, anybody who wants to show were, I will give him were also. So,
At least come
There's
back,
nothing
come
like
back,
that in
just value.
Nigeria. There's nothing like that in Nigeria. Please come. Only those people who
Yeah,
are working in the
just value
government
with
houses.
Nakura.
It's only those people who are working in the government houses that they are incarcerating.
yeah, we don't need it. We don't need it. Okay, so
After
that's the
20,
good,
we
that's
can
the good
continue.
news. Hare Krishna, thank you everybody. Once again, Fatal Vyascha, Kripa Sindhu Vyavacha. Tatanam Pavanam
Krishna, baby,
Hare Krishna.
Jai, Hare Krishna, Hare
Samasta
Krishna,
Koti Vaishnava
Krishna,
Vrinda ki
Krishna.
Jai Ho.
Jai.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare
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 Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Thank you very much.
Srikanta Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai,
Jai.
His Grace
Srila
Kali
Prabhupada
Prabhu
ki Jai.
Ki Jai.
Jai,
Grace
Jai.
Ganda Prabhu Ki Jai.
Haribo
Jai,
Come and
Samaveda
join me.
Bhakta
Everybody come
Vrinda
and join
ki
me.
Jai.
Jai.
That his profile? Yes.
Feel you coming through, soften what wants to fight. I'm falling into you, knowing you'll hold me tight. You don't have to move, oh please stay overnight. The sun replaced the moon and welcome the morning light. Surrender, come as you are. Surrender, come as you are. A pendulum is to and fro, in and out of souls. A smile will come and go, watch it go back and forth. Here I'm all alone with thoughts of happiness forced. I'm destitute, searching for fire to light my torch. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Shri Salika. Thank you. So, we'll see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much.